Pro Chef Cuts. Today we're gonna make some gluten-free pizza dough. And by we, I mean myself and my daughter. She is the biggest set of helping hands I have in the kitchen sometimes, and she really knows her stuff when it comes to dough. So I let her join in on the fun, and we cooked an amazing pizza dough crust that you probably couldn't even tell wasn't the real thing. Not that gluten-free is not the real thing, but hey, no one should be cut off from great food just because of a dietary restriction. So we're gonna show you today how to make the very best gluten-free pizza crust I've ever made. Hope you enjoy watching. Let's go.
Found all the ingredients I needed for the dough at Whole Foods. We even got to make a rice flour starter with yeast. So we used psyllium husk, cornstarch, and xanthan gum to keep everything stretchy. Start with our yeast measurement, and then we're gonna move over to the blender. We'll add half of our water, sugar, and whisk that around and let the yeast start feeding in that with the hot water in our mixing bowl. Those are the bubbles you should see at this point. We're gonna start with our rice flour. Look at the yeast already starting to go to work. It's really happy in there. Then we'll go with our tapioca flour. This might be known as tapioca starch as well. Goes right in the bowl. Next we have our oat flour going in. Oh yeah, the oat flour is a little chunkier than most of the stuff. Olive oil and cornstarch are the next to go in. And we can do a quick mix just to kind of incorporate everything we have in the bowl so far. Here we go. It's time to get into the blender with our other half of the water that we had. The psyllium husk fiber is a little bit big. I want to break that down. And at the same time, I'm gonna shear in the xanthan gum. All these will give us the properties we need to be able to stretch our dough. I think I needed a little bit more water to add in just to make sure that it was nice and smooth coming into the blender. We'll add our yeast fermentation to the mixer now. And then in goes our emulsifier, our thickener for this gluten-free dough. Now all of these products are natural products. Add our salt, and let's get everything incorporated. It's gonna come into a really kind of sticky dough. You can see the yeast really enjoying just consuming those great proteins in these alternative flours we're using today. Stop and start your mixer as much as necessary while you're mixing this up, just to get all the last little bits of flours in there. Once your dough gets to be kind of sticky like it is right now, then you should turn it out onto the table with some rice flour underneath, because this acts like regular flour would when you're shaping a pizza dough crust. Top that guy a little bit more flour, knead it for about 4 minutes until it gets to the point where you're ready to put it in the bowl and let the yeast do the rest of its work before you shape it into dough balls. Should give you a nice little spring back when you poke into it, so I dug a little deep, but oh, that one's pretty good. The yeast is doing its business, and so are our gluten replacements. We'll put it in a bowl and cover that with a plastic lid and maybe some wet paper towels. Here we go. Shape this thing into 250 gram balls, and look at how the dough's texture is so moist and so easy to shape. It's almost like a tortilla dough for masa. Have as much fun with shaping the balls as you can, because it is just one of the most fun things you can do in the kitchen anyway. Got 6 dough balls out of our recipe. That will make 6 12-inch pizzas. Gonna cover those with damp paper towels and let them do their final rest before we shape them. Flatten the dough out very gently on top of some rice flour. Make sure your hands are covered in a little bit of rice flour as well, not too much. And then gently kind of press out from the outside and work your way around the middle as if it were some kind of seashell you'd find at the beach. And that'll prevent your dough from tearing. You may run into some tears. This is gluten-free dough. It doesn't have all those properties that regular flour would have, so you kind of have to manipulate it and be very careful with your stretching. We'll get some San Marzano tomatoes in the blender with some salt. Pop the lid on. And we're just gonna pulse that a couple of times to make our sauce. Simple as that. So our dough is shaped and we have sauce. Put a little rice flour on your wooden peel and scoot the dough back, put it on the back of your hands and throw it right on the board. Hit it with your tomato sauce. Brush that with olive oil. Add some mozzarella cheese. I like fresh mozzarella for a margarita pizza. Fresh torn basil. Oh my gosh, it smells so good. And away we go.
I haven't done this recipe in a couple years, so let's see how it cooks.
It looks like a pancake.
Right on. See that bubble in the back? Nice.
Fire.
It's looking pretty good so far, little friend. Boom!
Fire! The most beauty of the beauty pizza.
It's really good crust.
It didn't raise up on the edges quite so much as the other stuff. But that's
Yeah.
the only gripe I have about it.
Yeah, that's
Everything else was legit.
everything tastes like
It's almost normal.
there's normal.
Yeah.
There's no weird texture after. Or like, you know how you do like a grain? Or like a, it's really, really good. Oh my god.